Malaria is one of the oldest diseases known to humans. In the distant past, it was common in the marsh areas around Rome. It was then given its current name, malaria, meaning bad air.
Whilst malaria is looked at as an African problem, it is important to recognize that, in fact, it's a global problem.
Malaria is caused by a parasite, a tiny, single-celled organism in the blood vessels and livers of human beings.
Malaria is a great tragedy in Africa, and it's an avoidable tragedy. It's an unnecessary tragedy. It need not be happening. But it's a tragedy that happens in every village, in every community, every day.
Africa has long been imprisoned by the dreaded disease. It is a serious epidemic that disables and kills millions of people every year. Though 40% of the world's population is at risk of contracting malaria, the majority of related deaths occur in sub-Saharan Africa. Young children and pregnant women are the most at risk. And despite medical advances, the disease is back, worse than ever. Every 30 seconds, a child dies from malaria in Africa. But there is new hope that one day malaria will no longer haunt the people of Africa. Mother Angela's daughter is infected with malaria. She has come to the Champangde Clinic in southern Zambia to receive medication. The average Zambian earns less than $2 a day. Angela is no exception. Her family is too poor to purchase mosquito nets. Now, her 2-year-old daughter, Sharita, has contracted malaria. Like nearly 500 million people each year, Sharita contracted malaria from an Anopheles mosquito, which transmitted the parasite to her.
These mosquitoes breed not in dams and open waters and flowing rivers. These mosquitoes breed on cattle hoofs because that is the water that gets penetrated by the sun, becomes warm enough for the eggs to quickly hatch and become mosquitoes.
Malaria is a disease that begins its attack with a classic set of stages. The first stage is shivering and body coldness that then gives way to a second phase, which includes fever, headaches, and body aches. Finally, the symptoms culminate with sweating, during which the body temperature returns to normal and fatigue sets in. Hanging insecticide-treated mosquito nets over beds prevents bites and parasite transmission. Application of larvicides kills the mosquitoes in their breeding grounds. Another core element of malaria control is indoor residual spraying. The insecticide kills any mosquitoes that land on treated surfaces. Drug resistance is the single greatest challenge in treating malaria. If a patient terminates their treatment early before all of the parasites are killed, the remaining parasites have the ability to repopulate their host. As the parasite repopulates, it passes on its genetic resistance.
On the 12th,
For many years, monotherapies such as chloroquine and Fansidar were cheap, safe, and effective anti-malarial drugs. Until recently, they were successfully used to treat malaria worldwide. But today, the parasite has acquired resistance, and these drugs are no longer reliable. In a number of African countries, the failure rate for all medicines reached 50% by the late 1990s. Medications that worked were unavailable. Health workers were left with no choice and dispensed drugs that were known to be ineffective. People were losing the battle against the malaria parasite. While malaria victims in Africa seem condemned to suffer and die, renewed hope is emerging from an unexpected time and place. During the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong lost huge numbers of troops to malaria. Ho Chi Minh, the leader of Vietnam's Communist Party, reached out to China's Chairman Mao and Premier Zhou Enlai, asking for help with the development of a new therapy to combat malaria. Chinese scientists looked to traditional Chinese medicine for answers. For over 2,000 years, the people of China used a tea made from a plant called Artemisia annua to control fever. After years of scientific trials, the Chinese discovered that a substance within this plant actually cured malaria. Two professors from the Academy of Military Medical Sciences, Professors I Ching and Keding, capitalized on this discovery and mixed components of ancient Chinese medicine with Western medicine. They are largely credited with developing the world's most effective malaria treatment. By grouping two separate drugs, each with its own independent function, into a single tablet, the professors created the first anti-malarial combination therapy and ushered in a new way of thinking. The combination of medications effectively kills the parasite, entirely ridding the body of malaria. This dramatically reduces the opportunity for the parasite to develop resistance. Still, skepticism in the Western world prevented the drug from global use.
看到我们中国既然有这么好的东西，我就是一心一想，通过各有关方面的帮助下，能给予世界，为世界的广大有志的人，去挽救他的生命，去解决他们的苦难，这就是我的愿望。
By combining a derivative of the plant Artemisia annua, artemether, with a synthetic compound, lumefantrine, the Chinese created the first artemisinin combination therapy, or ACT. Founded in 1948, the World Health Organization is a specialized agency of the United Nations focused on advancing the health of the world's population. In 2001, the WHO began recommending 4 different ACT drugs. The 4 combinations are artemether plus lumefantrine, artesunate plus amodiaquine, artesunate plus mefloquine, and artesunate plus sulfadioxine primethamine. Each of the 4 combine an artemisinin derivative with a synthetic ingredient that kills the malaria parasite. Also in 2001, the WHO entered into a long-term collaboration with a Swiss pharmaceutical company, Novartis, to provide its fixed-dose combination of artemether and lumefantrine, Coartem, at cost for public sector use in malaria-plagued countries. Coartem is the first ACT pre-qualified by the WHO.
And what happened is that first, almost no government was interested to buy the drug. And we saw